Hello there, everyone. Welcome to the World of Momos podcast. And today, I want to talk about Reform Party in UK and British politics.
My milkshake brings all the people to the rally.
So, I just want to talk about it and see and sort of show what my position is on Reform Party. It's not that I don't I've said that before as well. People should go and vote for them. I mean, this is the only way that we have currently of making sure that we have some conservative mentality within Parliament and don't have that fake conservativeness of the Tory party, which obviously they're not really conservatives. They just pretend to be, while them and Labour Party agree with most of the things that they say. So this seems to be the only way right now. Obviously, I have what are the issues that I have? Let's just say that. What are the issues that I have with Reform Party? Well, the issues that I have with Reform Party is a bit to do with Nigel Farage and those around him. Is that there doesn't seem to be a lot of the policies that are being suggested seems to be a bit of a reflex sort of a thing. Um, saying the buzzwords to get people on board, which is fine, which might be actually needed to get the people who are not connected with politics that much to come on board and start voting for reform. Finally people see someone actually saying the things that they want their politicians to say, right? So I'm okay with that. I just don't think so there's much of a follow through, or that there's much meat behind it, so that there would be a follow through, right? Well, I might be wrong. I am hoping I'm wrong. I'm hoping that once they have some more influence and how they want to be the opposition party, if they want to be the opposition party and they actually get enough votes in, which seems highly likely, because another problem that I have with them is that most of the candidates are paper candidates. People don't really know them. So when you're going into the that booth to vote, um, you will only have the name recognition of Reform Party if it has been drummed down enough, which they are actually actively working on. You won't really know your local MP. You won't know them by name. And if in that instance, if you have known your Tory MP and they have been working in the area for a while, I have a feeling that people would vote for them, or at least they would vote for them as a second, anyways. And it seems more likely that we won't have that much of a Tory minority, so to speak. We will have a significant number of Tory members who would be voted in. So that is that aside as well. I also have that feeling for a very long time. A lot of people do think that as well. It's not that I am far right or anything like that, or further right from the right. Like I am a centrist, anyways. So it doesn't matter to me in that instance. But I just have a feeling that Farage is more concerned or more interested in becoming a Tory leader, of combining both Reform Party and the Tory Party, and then becoming the leader, as something that people don't want to consider right now, but it might be the case that it happens.
I've intervened because we need a coherent voice of opposition in Parliament and in the country. And do you know what, Nick? I believe I can do that better than the current Conservative Party.
Can you tell me that one day you might lead the Conservative Party, or can you rule it out if the ball would come out of the back of the scrum?
I think something new is going to emerge on the centre-right. I don't know what it's called. But do I think I'm capable of leading a national opposition to a Labour Party with a big majority where I can stand up and hold them to account on issues? Yes.
Well, let's say it's called conform or
Whatever.
reservative.
Yes.
So a merged party, you would be happy to lead a merged party?
Yes.
Would you be happy to lead the Conservative Party?
Well, not as it currently is. I mean, I wouldn't even... No.
so
No. Look,
If it were reworked, Mr Farage.
they may be dead. They may well be dead. This may well be the end of their journey.
But if it's not, you would be prepared to consider leading the
I
Conservative
would be
Party?
prepared to lead the centre-right in this country, a centre-right that stands up for small business, a centre-right that believes in borders, a centre-right that isn't scared of standing up for the British people.
which is probably fine as well. Because Tory party itself has the biggest name recognition, and people know it, and people don't like change, and people won't really, um, in terms of a drastic radical changes, people only in this country will take change little by little, it seems. So it won't be a bad thing if Farage were to angle himself into the Tory party leadership and then course correct them to a certain degree. But the problem with Farage also is that he concentrates a lot on the economical aspects, um, that sort of free market day and stuff. And I wonder if it'll have the, compounding Thatcher effect. Um, but we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see on that score if there's actually a course correction for the cultural aspect, which is needed more than the economical aspect. On terms of immigration, I do have a bone to pick with them in that regard. I think so. I think so. Most of what they're saying is right, and if they have the political will to do it, it would be good. Getting rid of illegal migrants should be a bare minimum. We shouldn't even be talking about it, like it should be done. Shouldn't be allowed. The boats should be stopped. Anyways, all the illegal, you know, all the foreign criminals that we have, people, and even people with dual nationalities who are committing crimes and stuff, they should be deported. Their citizenships should be revoked. Um, I don't like. I think so. I've heard something on that score from them. So they should be deporting people on that regard. Now, the only issue that I have when it comes to immigration is that I don't. Is it to do with immigration? I think so. It's to do with both immigration and cultural aspect. I just don't think them tackling Islam, the problem of Islam as such. And what I mean by that is that they are still liberal minded. Most of them are very, very liberal minded. They won't accept any views which are directly against Islam, and they will only skirt around the topic, and they will say, "Oh, it's just some. Is the problem is the Islamist and so on and so on." Well, I don't think so. The problem is just Islamist. I think so. The problem is Islam, and if we don't understand it, and if we don't have the uncomfortable conversations, even if you start um, kicking out your candidates who actually want to or bring this topic to the forefront, it just shows me that if you're not even willing to have that uncomfortable conversation, that you're not going to take the necessary actions that might be necessary. You just won't have that willingness to tackle it. I mean, let me explain my position on that as well. It's not that I'm against individuals. I'm against an ideology that corrupts individuals eventually. Why? Just like communism. What is the endpoint goal of these ideologies? It is to conquer you and replace what is the existing system. So why tolerate them? Why tolerate them? They will not tolerate you for a single bit. So it seems suicidal to even entertain these ideologies within your country. So people might say the problem is only with Islamism and whatever and the extremists, and it's not with the normal law-abiding Muslims. The problem is that once the numbers grow, the influence grows, and once you keep having immigration from these countries, and on a high mass level, um, then the existing people do not have time to integrate and assimilate and form a moderate level of their own religions. They get they also have they get high influence from people who are coming from abroad, who are fresh, uh, and have that ideology embedded in them very freshly, and they're not westernized, and they will push that community to become more extreme, their future generations. And the simple reason for that is that moderate Muslims actually don't have a claim to Islam. Islam is not moderate, what moderate Muslims portray. I've said this many times before. There's a concept of munafiq within Islam, which means a hypocrite, and that's a person who says they're Muslims but don't follow the edicts of Islam, the edicts of Allah, so to speak. And they are considered worse than non-Muslims in the eyes of all other Muslims, and Allah Himself says He will never forgive them. So, they, the what I'm trying to say is that the moderate Muslims do not have a moral grounding. They don't have a moral stance against Islam, even though it's all morally corrupt, anyways. But in their eyes, they don't have a moral mandate to tell the actual Muslims that what they are following is not Islam, because a lot of moderate Muslims don't actually know Islam themselves. They don't follow it properly. They don't even pray properly, or like pray enough, or at the right times, or whatever. They don't have a moral mandate in the eyes of the Muslim Ummah all everywhere to actually dictate what Islam is. So what happens in that vacuum is that when you keep allowing people to come in, and on the same hand, when you're telling people that there's nothing wrong with their cultures, all cultures are equally good, um, then they end up radicalizing the youth, because you might be a moderate Muslim, but your kids are not going to be. All they have to do is read the Quran and the Sunnah, and follow the ijma. Um, that's about that's about it. That's what happens, and this will happen again and again and again and again. And the West needs to realize that, and the right parties, the parties on the political right, who are trying to skirt away from this topic, like I see Reform Party doing, they need to realize this problem is not going to resolve itself. Now, it might be that we may be able to minimize the effects of this problem, and in that sense, I do support Reform Party, because at least there's a willingness to take certain actions which will, in time, um, reduce this problem, not get rid of it, because, like I said, these problems don't get rid of. You can't get rid of it unless you get rid of the ideology and detach yourself from the ideology completely, or detach your country from that ideology completely.
You've said that some young Muslims don't share British values. Would you like to pay tribute to the 1 million Muslims who served in the British Army during the Second World War?
It's far bigger than that. Actually, 40% of the entire contribution that we had in 2 world wars, 40% came from what we now call the Commonwealth. So there were people right across the world, and by the way, they were all volunteers. None of them were pressed to do it. So I fully understand that history. The problem that I'm talking about is a separate problem of 18 to 24-year-old young Muslims who are born in this country who increasingly are being radicalized.
Do you understand why people have found those comments uncomfortable, to say the least? Why it has been, taken on by people, you say you're not racist, but it has been used by people who are racist to fuel their arguments?
I'm not interested in those people, and thank goodness in this country they are a tiny minority fringe. All I'm doing is stating an obvious truth that makes people in Britain feel very, very uncomfortable. Why? And I don't know the answer. Why are young British-born Muslims being attracted to jihad and radicalism? And if we don't talk about it, we've no chance of dealing with it.
Well, we may be able to reduce the effects of it for a few generations, perhaps. And that is when we stop the illegal migration, when we deport all illegal immigrants, when we deport all foreign criminals, when we deport all criminals will do nationality and revoke their citizenships. That can have a huge effect of the influence being drained away, and we have to match that with our influence going in, giving an alternative to the youth, to the Muslim youth, to cling on to, rather than going back to the Islamist ways. But that has to that has also have to be combined with completely stopping immigration for a while, legal immigration, and in future stopping immigration from countries which have diametrically opposed cultures, including many Islamic or all Islamic countries, but we have to stop immigration from troublesome Islamic countries like Pakistan, Bangladesh, Syria, Iraq, Lebanon for a while as well, Libya, you know, Egypt. These countries have they've been brewing these people, these Islamist anti-West people. So we need to at least take those measures, and that is where I don't see Reform Party actually being active. I might be wrong. I might be wrong because it might be the case that he has that influence of Trump. Trump did stop immigration into America from certain Muslim countries. Maybe he will take that, right? So I am criticizing because I'm criticizing Reform because I want them, because you need to keep pushing people to, if you have a valid point of view, you need to keep pushing them till they at least recognize what you're trying to say, acknowledge what you're trying to say. So that would that's the reason why I keep on criticizing them. But at the same time, I do realize that they might be the best option right now. So in that sense, I do support them. um and this concept as well, if you think about it, this concept um that has been put up, that we should all get behind Nigel Farage, like, yeah, it's fine, and that's why you should not criticize him at all, no matter what. I don't agree with that, because simply because people are saying that, the normies, the ordinary people, they need a united front for the right. So everyone just vote for Nigel Farage. Don't say anything bad right now. To be honest, if I'm criticizing him, I'm pretty sure the normies who are not, as people say, are really don't like that term. But the ordinary folk who are not connected politically or not interested politically would not really be listening to my criticism, would they? So I don't see any problem with criticizing a person who I think could be the future leader of this country. So everyone should be able to do that, right? But if they're not really listening anyway, so what does it matter what I say or what I don't say? But anyways, I just wanted to say that I think so, because I'm having so many political candidates on my show, and I've been talking about politics a lot, even though it's not something that I'm really interested in that much. Uh, because it's not that I'm a political expert or something like that, or even if I'm a political commentator, which I'm not. So, but because it's election time, I've been having a lot of politicians on. I will be having on Nick Buckley. I will be releasing that episode, or recorded that episode with him yesterday. I'll be recording an episode with William Clouston as well. I think so. I'm having Open Full from a Reform Party as well. Hoping to record an episode with Pete North as well, just to talk about what is the political landscape. And he's someone that you might have seen who is highly critical of Reform Party, probably for similar reasons. But he obviously knows a lot more than I do, so his reasons are very much policy based, which is you know which is fine. You need such people to keep on criticizing. Doesn't matter, and it's not like being negative or anything. If there is something to criticize, what else are you supposed to do, right? But anyways, and that's why I just wanted to talk about Reform Party, because Reform Party is high in the polls. I hope they, because I would have been a Tory member in normal circumstances, probably, you know, if the Tories were Tories. Sort of my natural progression would have been over to them because, I'm sort of on the center, lean center right on most things. Ways few things are lean center left on as well, which is why you might say, oh, it's a bit odd that you're an SDP member, but I support a lot of smaller parties. I'm not really tied to one party in that respect. Um, but this is the reason why I do it, because I want to push the main conversation that is going on, to recognize and to acknowledge all points of concerns. Yeah, I mean, it's I've been chatting on for too long now, but essentially, that's the thing, isn't it? This is why I've been talking about Reform Party, because I do want the Conservatives, like I said, in normal circumstances, I would be part of them. I want them to be dismantled, to be annihilated, to get these non-conservatives out of the party, these people who are actually socialists, to get them out of the Tory party. So if Reform can help push that and reconfigure Tory party, even by merging with them eventually and having that happen, I'm fine with it. I don't have a hatred of Tory party. Like a lot of people who criticize Reform party have a very in embedded hatred of the Tory party. Um, so I don't have that. I'm just angry at the Tory party because for the past 14 or so years, they have betrayed what they were supposed to be. For the past more than 14 years, they have betrayed what they are supposed to be. So they need a realignment. They need a reconfiguration. So I can only hope when it reconfigures as a conservative, actual conservative party, but not as a, this is where I disagree with Reform. I don't want it to be a free market nonsense as well, like crony capitalism coming in. So that has to be in measure, and I hope that I'm wrong about Reform Party and that they do bring a positive effect on our British politics going forward. So yeah, that was it. I would say if you are voting, and I think so, you should vote, because even if you don't vote, people who come into power will be able to dictate their terms on you, right? If you don't vote, it doesn't mean that you're excluded from any rules and policies that they bring in. And a Labour Party coming in should be any sensible person's worst nightmare. So I would say go out and vote. And even though I favor SDP on few things, I like UKIP traditionally. I like their leadership because I know them. I like Britain First as well in that sense, because I know them. Um, I would still say go and vote for Reform, because they are the only way that you can break something in the British politics. They break through. You can show people that it is possible, that you have more choices, and maybe that will encourage people to start voting at least on local levels. Other parties like SDP, that UKIP and Britain First, and so on and so on. So yeah, you should go out on vote on the 4th of July, and I think so. You should vote for Reform Party. Thank you.